Yeah.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Lounge 11 with Femi and Samco. My name is Femi, and I'm joined with my co-host Samco. Samco, how are you doing this week, man?
I'm doing good. It's been a long week. Looking forward to what we have to discuss today.
Yeah, there,
Yeah.
there is definitely plenty on the agenda. Lots of interesting things that happened during the week, or even since the last time we've been here. Yeah, but maybe maybe we start with Ballon d'Or discussion. The 2025 Ballon d'Or has come and gone, and we finally know who the winner is. I think most people expected Ousmane Dembele to be crowned the Ballon d'Or winner, and that's exactly what happened. What a remarkable season for him and PSG. I think they pretty much won everything there was to be won except the Club World Cup. And so I don't think it came as a big surprise to many that he ended up winning the Ballon d'Or. But were there any major surprises for you elsewhere as far as the voting turned out?
Definitely. I think from the second position down, there were so many debates, I would say, that you can have
What'd you call it?
starting. I say from the second position down, there's so many debates that I think
Oh,
people would
yeah.
have or are willing to have. My very obvious one was that of Yamal coming in second. I'm a big fan of Yamal, but I'm sorry, I don't know how he comes second in the Ballon d'Or ahead of the likes of Harry Kane, Mohamed Salah, for example. I just don't see how he comes. Even I think there's even a debate to be had within his own club in Barcelona. I think I would have had
Absolutely.
Rafinha and Lewandowski ahead of him, but I guess this is where the whole Spanish and Barcelona influence comes in place. But at the end of the day, I think we all knew it was going to be Dembele, and I'm very, very delighted for him. So congratulations to him, himself, and his family. I wasn't able to watch or catch the actual broadcast of the whole award show, but I was quite really, really happy for him. Especially there's a player who came from the young sides in France, went to Dortmund, from there to Barcelona. Even when he went to Barcelona, there were so much talks that he was going to be the next thing. Things didn't work out for him. He took it out and took his talents to PSG. And of all places for you to come out and win the Ballon d'Or was at PSG, especially when you know that same PSG has had the likes of the Ronaldinho's, Messi's, Neymar, Mbappe, and long and behold, it was Dembele that pulled out with the Ballon d'Or. So congratulations to him for sure.
Yeah, big credit, big credit. Like I mentioned at the start, I don't think it was much of a surprise that he won. I think the surprise, like you mentioned, came elsewhere. I also don't think Yamal was even the best player in Barcelona, in my
Yep.
view, right? I think Rafinha had a big shout. And then you look through, I think I was looking through the list.
Kane,
Mohamed Salah
13th.
in fourth is crazy, right?
Salah in
Mohamed
fourth. But
Salah, that's
how was
crazy.
Kane in 13th?
Kane and Salah were my big ones, right? I don't think Salah was fourth last season.
I don't think Salah should have been outside the top three.
Exactly. And then I also don't think Kane should have been outside the top 10 in any way,
Five.
especially when you
You
look at,
need
yeah,
five.
exactly. Exactly. Especially when you look
Yeah.
at, like, I'm looking through the top, I'm going to read out the top 10 right now, right? You have Dembele, obviously, as one. Amal as two, Vitinha as three. You can see Vitinha there one way or the other. Salah as four, Fina as fifth, Hakimi as sixth, Mbappe as seven. Cole Palmer, I have no understand. I cannot
That
explain
one
to
is
you
that,
what
that
he's
one
doing
is
there as the eighth best player. And then Donnarumma in nine, Nuno Mendes in 10, Pedri in 11. Man, this is a big disrespect to Harry Kane, man. Like, and then I can't even
I
pronounce
just
this
saw
guy's
Vinicius
name.
Junior ahead of Lewandowski.
I mean, yeah, I don't really.
Just I'm
I think
actually seeing full list.
the full list, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I guess Lewandowski was injured for quite some time
But
last
he still
season as
put up
well,
some
right?
great numbers. Like I
He
said, I
did.
would have put Yamal after him and Rafinha. But Harry Kane in 13th is ridiculous. That's madness.
I think for me, once you start getting past 10, it's a toss up at that point. But I cannot see a world where Harry Kane is the 13th best player out there. Like 12 players that had better seasons than Harry
Yeah, it makes
Kane,
no
right? That's a huge disrespect.
makes no sense.
Um,
Salah's disrespect is actually it's a lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Salah's disrespect is actually becoming very like how do you put him fourth, man? Like he definitely had to be in that top three.
you get,
Did Mane
but
make it into the top three in Ballon
Mane,
d'Or?
yeah, yeah,
Mane, yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah,
did,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
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 that's just
yeah.
disrespectful, man.
I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
what else
different.
Salah could have done in terms of, putting his numbers up. Obviously, you say only, but it's difficult to win the league. And they won the league fair and square, right? One of the, I guess, in my mind, the toughest league in the world. And
And he
he was
put
the
up
best
those
player.
numbers.
He was the best player last year, right? So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they get it right moving forward. But
They won't. They won't.
yeah,
Ballon is
it's
a
always
debate.
going to toss up this debates and things like that. So, but let's move on to some of the other topics. Last time we are here, we were previewing the games that were coming up: Arsenal and Man City, Manchester
Yeah.
United and Chelsea. So we'll start with the City Arsenal game, or Arsenal City game. Arsenal were home at the Emirates. Obviously, you've seen how things panned out. You've seen a lot of the reaction after the game, but walk me through your thoughts when you saw the lineup, first of all.
When I saw the lineup, I was definitely not happy because I was hoping Odegaard was going to be available. I was unhappy to see Merino get a second start again, especially in the big game. But if you go back to our last episode, we literally talked about these things, and especially you called out a lot of these things that was going to happen. We called out the Saliba was going to come in. But the one that surprised everyone, of me the most, which you called, was that of Eze. I did not literally when I saw the first 11, it takes time before you look at the bench. I
Yeah,
literally thought it's injured or something.
yeah, because he's
He wasn't in the 11, but then I took a look again and I'm like, he's on the bench. Why? I have no idea. In terms of the midfield three, we called it that. We won't be shocked if he did the same thing. He did it against Bilbao, and I wasn't shocked. And I knew it was a possibility, especially with Odegaard out. If you remember after the Liverpool game, like I said, when I watched the game again, I saw why he went with that decision and not that of Waneri. Not a decision I agree with, but we expected it. But I think my biggest problem was that of Eze because, again, against Liverpool, I was unhappy with that lineup. And I said, you want your most creative players, or at worst, you want your best players when you're playing the big teams. I don't look at it whether you're playing away or at home. You want your best players on the pitch. And that was the angle I was coming from. So I was definitely unhappy with the lineup. Now, when we move track forward towards the game, I think there is this narrative that goes around based on the personnel that Mikel chooses. And people come out and say, oh, he's playing a defensive game. Again, like I do every time, I watch Arsenal's games twice because when you're watching it live, there's a lot of emotions and everything involved in it. But when you're watching it the second time, you're paying more attention now because you can now watch it at a much calmer situation. And from the get-go, we were on Man City. Like from the very get-go. If you think back to the goal we considered, where was the ball lost? If we were playing a
you're talking about
defensive
the
game,
City game? Yeah, it
yeah,
was
City
just
game. It
outside
was
their
lost in the
box, I
City half.
think. Yeah,
Yeah, it
just
was
outside
lost in the
this. Yeah,
City half, just close to the midline.
right.
And literally, you could see City on the transition. If we're playing the defensive game, I don't think there should be a point in time where our back line is that high, right? So I think
Hmm.
people look at the personnel and just come a lot with that narrative. But now, what I think surprised not just me, but the whole world in this game was the approach right after Haaland scored from Pep Guardiola. They just didn't deploy a mid block. They deployed a low block.
The
I
lowest of
had
blocks.
I had because I watched the game with my brother-in-law. We were literally looking at each other like, what's
What's
going
going on?
like what's happening here? And this is where I'm going to call out the hypocrisy in football. Because I remember last season when we went to the Etihad, we were 2-1 up. You remember? And then
Yeah,
Trossard got the
yeah.
red.
Trust at the second yellow. Yeah.
We set up in a low block and the game ended 2-2. John Stones scoring at the last minute. If you remember the criticism that Arsenal got, the whole narrative, you have to go away to your rivals to win, blah, 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 blah. But if you remember the criticism that Arsenal got from that game, this is us with 2-1 advantage, but a
Away.
man down,
Yeah,
away,
away at the
and we
Etihad.
got
Yeah.
criticized for that.
Right,
And this is why
right.
sometimes when it comes to banter, it comes back to bite you in the backside, right? I have been one of those people when Jose Mourinho was in Chelsea. I used to be one of those people that would say I didn't like his way of football. It was always defensive. He didn't want to attack. But then I remember there was an interview I watched of Jose Mourinho years later when he said the way he sets up his team, he doesn't mind giving up the ball to his opponent. But the thing about giving the ball to his opponent is as long as you have the ball where I want you to have the ball, I am satisfied.
Controlling the game without the ball is what he used to say. Yeah.
So I remember that interview literally changed my mindset on how I saw the way he decided to play his own game, right? So I was happy this happened in this game because I think, like I said, this was me calling out the hypocrisy in football, where everybody can see that the way we fans look at the game and the way these managers who are involved in making these decisions see the game are totally different. Because this is Pep that a lot of us tag as the best coach in the world right now, right? He came to the Emirates, fought within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game and goes defensive. Can we call it for what it is? He was
Which
shook.
is, oh yeah, okay.
Like he was shook. A lot of people don't want to say it because it's Pep. I'm a big Pep fan. But again, let's call it what it is. He was shook. And the reason is because, let's not forget, last season he came to the Emirates and he lost that game 5-1. He played Brighton a few weeks ago. They were up 1-0 and lost that game 2-1. That was because of his own tactics. He came to the Emirates and he said, I don't want to lose this game. Now, let me circle it back to Mikel. One of my problems with Mikel is I think Mikel has a phobia of failure. I think he's scared to fail. And that outweighs his like cravings for, it's like, I'd rather not fail than succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell that he's someone that doesn't love to take risks. And a lot of us, we are like that. A lot of us don't like to take risks, right?
Yeah,
So,
man, I shoot from the hip, man.
so the reason I said let's bring Mikel into it, I wanted to take it now back to Pep. Pep didn't want to lose that game because he knew if he went with his system, he knew the possibilities of how that game could end. So this is a manager that we're calling a world-class manager that came to the Emirates playing that game and notices that, look, we might not be able to match up with this team. So he had to change the way he played. And this is because they make these decisions in game. A lot of people will tell you 1 point is better than none, but 3 points is better than 1 or 0. But this is the game that they play. These managers see their opponents and they know their strengths, they know their weakness. So I think that was why he deployed that tactics. And I have absolutely nothing against it. Like absolutely nothing, because at the end of the day, your aim is to win. But if a manager like Pep is setting up a low block from the 10th to 15th minute to the end of the game, again, it tells you a lot. If he can do it, there's a reason why other managers will do it, right? And if you notice in that game, the very first moment in which they moved on and tried to play the high line, that was literally how we got back into the game, because that was how Eze was able to put the ball over the defense and Martinelli was able to get the goal. So when we bring it back to the Arsenal side of the game, I was unhappy with the lineup. I was unhappy with the approach Mikel took, because I think Mikel, again, just like he approached the Liverpool game, was to be a little safe, less risk. But I also have to give him credit because I called him out against the Liverpool game and said he was unable to make those changes early on in the second half. But in this game, when he saw the way Pep Guardiola decided to set up his team, he definitely made those changes early on actually at halftime he made those changes. So I definitely give him a credit for that. And when he made those changes, you could tell the way we played, the way we tried to attack the ball was much better than we did in the second half. Zubimendi didn't have the greatest of game. Declan Rice didn't have the greatest of game. A lot of people are going to come out and say Gyökeres didn't have the greatest of game. Yes, he didn't. But then again, when you look at how we played, I know there were 2 or 3 different occasions where we had the ball and you could see Gyökeres was making that run. But I expected that ball to be laid off and passed on to him as quickly as possible. But that was definitely not the case. Gyökeres is a guy I've had the privilege to watch him for at least a year and a half. And he's one of those guys that likes to run the channels, but you need to put those balls through those channels for him as quickly as possible. So that was one thing I noticed about the game. The other thing, while we had control of the game, I kept saying while I was watching this game that I hoped he was going to take off one of Zubimendi or Declan Rice, preferably Zubimendi, because I think you could bring Declan Rice into the middle to play as a six, and then you can move Eze and bring on Waneri for them to play in the middle, and then you still have Martinelli on your left. So I think there's still tactical things and issues that Mikel is still trying to fix. Like I think I've said it in the last few weeks, and I don't think we're going to see the clear identity of this team until game week 6 to 10. And I think that's going to be the case. But all in all, I give the team credit for being able to salvage that point because that was a game they could have lost easily. And if we had done that, it would have been a deeper hole for us to find ourselves or dig ourselves out of. But literally, that was my own view in terms of the game. So for you, I'd like to know your own opinion and how you saw the whole situation.
Yeah, I think fairly similar. The I wasn't as surprised about the lineup because we were talked about that as well. Like not because that's what I wanted, because that's what I actually expected was going to happen. Just knowing the manager, knowing a lot of how we've set up previously. The Eze situation was interesting. The reason I thought Eze wasn't going to start the game was I thought there would be a lot of respect for the out of possession and how we press. Eze is a very creative player, but maybe sometimes you give something up in terms of how we press and how we choose to play. So that's why I thought Merino was going to get the nod or Martinelli on the wing. So it was not a major surprise. I do understand people's thoughts on the cautiousness. Sometimes people think you and I guess some of the other guys on our groups, like we're just Arteta apologists. We just support everything that it does. Like, what I'm saying? Like, and I'm going to shout out our guy, Wale, from the Banter and the No Fly Zone group. Because I think what I always think about is if you just ask me that, hey, what do you think are this guy's flaws? Like, what do you think are Arteta's weaknesses? I will let you know exactly what I'm thinking. And one of them is something you called out. I think, and I've said this for maybe a couple seasons now, and I'm sure, we've talked about it. I think he has the fear of failing, like you've mentioned, greatly exceeds the desire to win. At least that's how I see it. And to a lot of people, those two things might translate to be the same thing, or they might sound like they're the same thing, but they are not, right? Because it would influence your approach to games. I think it's not a coincidence that we've had one of, if not the best defensive record in the league over the last 2 seasons. And I think that would probably continue to happen because this guy sets up to give nothing away. I would have loved to see a bit of a front foot approach. And I think most people are saying we wasted one half, and you could see that the second half was very, very different. I think at the end, a point was probably deserved given the circumstances. Hopefully there's a lot that Arteta takes away from that moving forward in terms of, maybe not paying too much respect sometimes to those big teams. I'm happy for Martinelli that it was able to make a difference again, coming in as a sub and influencing the outcome. That must be good for his confidence. And I'm also happy that we got to experiment, if you can call it that, with Eze in more attacking positions, because now we have seen a semblance of what it could be. Hopefully we get more of that. I was also really, really surprised to see that version of Manchester City. I'm not even going to lie. I think that was the lowest possession that Pep has ever had in his entire 601 games in a top flight or something crazy like that. And the next lowest was also to Arsenal. So I think it speaks to the level of respect that you can see that is starting to pay this team, and hopefully the lessons have been learned and we can maybe march on a little bit with more conviction, more intent, more purpose in games moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I was just gonna go back to like you said, whatever people are gonna think were this like Mikel apologies. I've said to a few people, I have no loyalty to no manager, no player, but my only loyalty is definitely to Arsenal. If Mikel
Correct.
is not if Mikel is not the manager tomorrow, I'm not gonna break his sweat. I have been used to as a winger for how many years? I still ask for him to kick buckets, even after he was winning. Same thing when we hired Unai Emery. I supported him the first season. The following season, I said, mm-mm. When we hired Mikel, I mean, you get the spot. I was not in support of that managerial appointment. first place, right? But one thing I've noticed is we're in the era of football now where most people you're in the manager in or the manager
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I just happen to see the game differently, right? It's just like when we speak about Ruben Amorim, like I keep saying, I said I rate him. I just don't trust him. Will I call right now? Will I even call for him to be sacked? No, but that doesn't mean whatever it is I see or feel I'm not going to call it. It's just the same way I feel I've had problems with Mikel. Like there were times I used to say Mikel's one of his biggest problems was he doesn't trust his players. And this is the other problem that he has a fear of failure. And a lot of the times you're going to have to take risks for you to achieve the great things you want to achieve in terms of this game. Because people also need to realize like we've left the era of when it was Manchester United versus Arsenal. We've
Mm-hmm.
left the era of Manchester United versus Chelsea. We've left the era of Manchester United versus Manchester City. Now you're having 3, 4, 5 teams that are going to battle out for the top spot up until December. Then it reduces to 3 till about March, April, and then it reduces. Mind you, the times of those other eras, when you had just 2 top dogs, the other teams were significantly weak. It's not the same anymore. It's not the same anymore. So your competition is better. The managers you're hiring are better and the competition has just increased. And for you to be able to beat all these, I mean, you can look at it in terms of points that have been accumulated in the last few seasons. Liverpool have missed out on the league by hitting 90 something points twice, right? So it tells you the competitive landscape of the league has definitely improved and has gotten much better. So all I want is my club to be successful. I'm not Mikel has to be successful or Saka has to be successful. If they are successful in my club, great. But guess what? If they move on tomorrow, I'm not moving on with them. Like literally, I'm not moving on with them.
Yeah, I think
So
that part has to be made really clear at times, right? But yeah, interesting. You touched on a lot of the big six, you know. I think the Liverpool game was the first loss that Arsenal under Arteta suffered in, what is it, 23
I think
attempts
about
now.
3 years, maybe
Something like
two
that.
years.
Yeah. So what do you make of that record now? Because people are questioning the approach. Meanwhile, we were hearing, you know, I think obviously when it came, it was Arsenal can't win against the big six, and then obviously address that. And now it's like, oh, you don't have enough, you know what,
That's
to
Yeah, that's why I said all you see these days is a hypocrisy in football. And this is where banter comes a long way. And that's why I say it's always going to come back to bite you on the backside. We're all hypocrites for sure when it comes to football. But I remember under Arsene Wenger's tenure, we would see lists of the
red.
top teams. It was red. When Mikel came, it was the same thing, right? Oh, you have to be a little reserved. Underbelly, you're getting bullied and everything. And then he switched it up and didn't lose in how many games to them? What were people's narrative at that time? Oh, you have a great record against the big six, the top four. It's the little teams you're dropping. And that is a part I've always said that we've lost these leagues by dropping silly points against the smaller teams. Because when you compare the number of big teams against the smaller teams, you have more smaller teams. So if you win all those games and you don't find yourself beaten by these other teams, you would see that you have a greater chance of winning the league. So when I look at what people used to say then and what they're saying now, it still just doesn't correlate. Anyway, like I said, last year you have to go to Man City to win with 10 men. I don't hear that about Man City coming to Emirates with 11 men, that they had to come to the Emirates to win. So it's okay. I understand it, right? Until Arsenal win, you're going to get this type of
And it
criticism.
is what it is, you know.
And
It's
it's what
fair,
it
it's
is.
deserved, you know.
If
So
Arsenal
it is
should
what
win
it is.
tomorrow, I bet you this narrative moves to a
The next
Chelsea,
the next
for
team,
example.
yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, moves to the next team. So it's fully understandable, but changing the narrative, yeah, I'm not down for that. When we went to City or Liverpool or Old Trafford, I've always said it. I don't care. I need my 3 points. So why would I come out and say, oh, Pep, why would you set up a low block now when you're trying to ensure you don't lose a game? We're talking about the best manager in the world setting up in a low block, something we've never seen in how many years.
For me, I actually respected
Also,
it. I
I
respected
did,
it.
exactly.
Yeah,
I
I
respected
remember.
it because
Yeah,
don't forget, we're the ones who call out Ruben for not
yeah.
he
I
literally
hundred
showed
percent respected
flexibility.
it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
totally respected it because I'm sure that he knew if he went toe to toe at that time against that Arsenal team, like Pep is one of, if not the smartest manager out there. He knew the direction of that game. For him to set off a low block that early, it tells you a lot. You might be scared to criticize Pep, and it's not a criticism, it's just calling it what it is.
I don't even think it's critique, right? Like the reason I
Yeah, it's
say
not
I
critique.
respect it is, you know, Mourinho wasn't my favorite guy ever, and obviously there's context to that. But over the course of his career and what he went on to do elsewhere, you actually really appreciate him, right?
Oh,
Because
yes, now I do.
that
More than
I
ever.
appreciate Mourinho, right? Like because you can
Yes,
see a guy who has one thing and one thing on his mind only,
to
winning,
win.
right? And he's not interested in the stylistic point. He's not interested in the vanity metrics. He just wants to win. And
Think
so I
about it.
think when you think about managers like Pep, they've always just tactically been better, maybe had some of the best players, so they've dominated to a larger extent. And
Yeah.
so I don't think it has forced a change in approach yet. And so because of that, we don't even know if they're capable, if, in Pep's case, if he's capable. So to see him say, you know what, the goal here is to walk away with 3 points, and I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to win, adapt my players that I have available, adapt to the conditions of the game right now in order to get a win. I actually respected that
We
because
saw
Pep
another
has def-
example from weekend.
where was it?
Chelsea Man U.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll
Yeah,
get to that exactly.
yeah.
So that's why I
Yeah,
say the way we look at it and the way these managers look at it, this weekend was a perfect example that
right.
shows you that the guys who are in the game that make these decisions rate these other teams and these other opponents different than how we do rate them.
Before we jump into the Chelsea game, let's quickly touch on the Arsenal Port Vale game in the Carabao Cup, right? Because that was a second game midweek. Lots of changes there. I don't know if you got the chance to see the game, but
To
thoughts
last
on that
night.
performance? Because that could have been a banana peel game, as they say.
Not for me. I didn't have any worries. I didn't watch the game live. I was busy at work. But when I got home, I made sure, because we're going to talk about it today, so I made sure to get a recap on the game. I remember when I saw the lineup yesterday, the exact 11 I predicted was what came out, right? So I thought Martinelli down the middle, Eze on the left, Saka on the right, because Noni is injured, Saka needs minutes, exact midfield, exact defense. But when I was watching the game yesterday, if you remember, I messaged you, I was like,
Uh,
I'm noticing something that I have not seen or heard in any of our group chats yesterday. He deployed Eze to play the left eight, with Waneri playing the right eight,
yeah.
Martinelli on the left and Merino up top. And in my head, I was like, what's going on? Like, didn't you, what's going on here? But again, I didn't hear people complain about it. Why? Is it because the result was a win? Because I noticed a total different style of play yesterday. This was him trying Eze in the left eight. If you remember a few episodes ago, when I said I think Declan Rice is not going to be that much of a box crusher like he was in the last 2 seasons, because I felt Eze coming into the left, I thought what Mikel was thinking about is him playing a box midfield at times with Zubimendi and Rice sitting, Odegaard and Eze in behind. And when I saw that yesterday, it was quite interesting because I was like, okay, now he wants to see what Eze can do in that left eight, because Waneri played on the right eight yesterday, right? But what he did was he had Nogard in the lone six. In the Man City game, during the second half, I kept barking, we do not need a Declan Rice and Zubimendi in this game in the second half, because now you could tell we were just all attack. I was like, I would take Zubimendi off because it's a Man City game. Declan Rice is used to this type of tempo. He can sit back and you can play Eze, bringing Waneri to play in the middle. You still have your Martinelli on the left, or Trossard, or whoever you want to do. So it was quite refreshing to see him do that yesterday. And again, what that told me is Mikel is still trying what he's going to use for the rest of the season, because people are still forgetting there's a lot of fresh faces in that team, especially in the attacking phase of the team. Odegaard has played only 2 games for us this season, right? So now he's having to think out between, you're having Saka injured, you're having Noni, you're having Gyökeres, you're having Eze, you're bringing in Waneri and everything. So yesterday felt like an experiment to me. We scored a little bit early. And then, like you said, it was just a death by a million passes. Like literally,
Yeah.
we were just passing the ball. They played a very good low block, and I was actually impressed with their defensive setup. If I'm actually being honest, and that went. But watching the game, it was very controlled. I don't think there was a scare at all throughout the game. I know the only scare I remember was when Mosquera gave up the ball at one time, but I think they managed that situation, and then Trossard came in and Trossard scored. I think Nogard had a very, very good game. Mosquera had a very good game. Waneri was brilliant in that game. So when I was watching the game yesterday, I was quite surprised because I was trying to look through all the group chats that we
To
had, and I was like,
see,
wow, yeah, like nobody spoke about this. Instead, I'm seeing people complain about Mikel having three center backs about Port Vale, and I'm like, Ben White was a right back. He took him out, pushed Mosquera to the right, and brought in Gabriel. If you followed Arsenal this season, he did that in the preseason, and I think he did that against Leeds. So he just pushed him out to play right back. And I was hearing the less shots, the this and that. So, like I said, everybody watches the game differently. I see it a little bit different than I'm sure that you see it and other people see. But what I saw yesterday felt more like a comfortable experiment.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I think literally that's what it was. It was, 9 changes is a lot, and there wasn't any
That's
drop in performance, or at least drop in like the style that the team is going to play. I think at this point, it's pretty clear that for most teams, we're going to face a low block, whether it's Man City, whether it's Port Vale, So I think the challenge now is how do you break those teams down? It helps
Mhm.
when you're able to go a goal up early, like we did, and from that point, it was super comfortable. So, question on that game. Obviously, Saka got to play 60 minutes. You've seen some of the chatter online about, there's this Twitter account which I actually really like, the Hater Central or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, I've been
And I'm
seeing
sure
a few.
I actually really like it's funny. I find it
I like
funny.
it. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
And then you've heard, I'm sure, some people say that Saka is on the decline. What are your thoughts on that? Considering I think this was his second or third game, I think.
Second game because he played
Yeah,
45 minutes against City and 60 minutes. If you watch the City game, remember when we talked about Nani last week and people talking
right.
about, oh, Nani is going to bench Saka. When Saka came into the second half, you could tell the difference in class against City. Like you could just tell the difference in class. But if people are going to come out and say Saka is on the decline, I mean, that's their own narrative, right? I don't think my job or I don't go out of my way to try and convince people otherwise. If you've known me for a long time, if you know how long I've been riding for Saka, back to the Saka and Greenwood days, if you remember, and I told people from then that this boy is going to show you guys what he's made of. And since then, all he's done is gone better and better and better. So if they feel he's on the decline, that's fine. If there's one thing about Saka, he's always going to prove you wrong. So yeah, there's nothing for me to like try to convince people otherwise. If you feel Saka is on the decline, I think there's a little bit of fear in you, but you just don't know how to you just don't know how to come about it because you know that if he explodes, you know what you're gonna get. Because you're not gonna look at Saka and think he's at his peak already. How old is he? 23, 24?
No, I think it's 24, I believe. Yeah,
24. And that's a kid that you say is on the decline. Eh, no problem. I guess we'll watch it and see now.
yeah, it's 24 years
I
old.
guess we'll watch it. I guess we'll watch it and see.
Okay, finally on the Arsenal segment, just rapid thoughts here. Saliba was announced, or at least we heard. I don't think the club has officially announced it, but I think it's pretty much done that
Okay.
he's going to sign a 5-year contract amid all the reports about potentially leaving. So, what do you make of that?
You know, I saw the news this morning. That was literally the first thing I saw when I woke up this morning. I don't know, there was this feeling I got that was very different. Because if there's one thing I do, I always compare clubs of today to the same clubs of yesterday. So what I mean by that is Arsenal today and Arsenal tomorrow. I remember the times when we used to develop young players, Fabregas, Van Persie, Nasri, Clichy, Bakary Sania, and we kept losing these talents. Why? Because either we couldn't pay the going rates in terms of salaries and we were not winning. Not only were we not winning, a lot of these players did not see the effort by the club to try to win. For example, Van Persie. That was why he left and he went to Manchester United. He came out and he said it. Fabregas came out and they said it that there was no sign of Arsenal wanting to win, right? And now when I look at this present Arsenal, when I look at the clubs, the players that we've had, that we've developed basically since Mikel came in, all our best players, I don't see the hunger for them to leave yet. If we don't win, we will lose these talents, right? But as of now, I don't see that push from these players, which again tells me, when I compare it to the before, that they are seeing signs that this team wants to win, right? Also, there's a weird thing about, you ask yourself, do they believe in the club? Do they believe in the manager? Do they believe in both? I see it as a believe in both, right? But the good thing about it is, tomorrow, if Mikel is shown the door, when you look at that squad, any manager is in a very comfortable place to say, I can do something with that squad.
Yep.
The squad is very young. They all have very very long contracts. So when a player like Saliba, that we know the team like Real Madrid are snuffing around, and he tells you, I will give you guys 5 more years. Regardless of if the contract is signed, we sell him tomorrow for some piece of money. If you're selling Saliba next tomorrow, you know you're getting the bag.
Yep.
He's a young, upcoming center back that most people might say he's going to be one of the best in the world. So for you to secure that assets, we did the same with Waneri, Skelly, Gabriel in the summer. That is is a big sign for me to show that these guys are serious about winning.
Right.
Now they have to win. That's what it is. That was literally how I saw it. Because if you remember in the summer, I said if there's one person I need to sign a contract, especially before December, it was Saliba, even before Saka, because I have the feeling that Saka was always going to sign that contract. But if there was one person I needed to sign that contract as early as possible, but definitely I didn't want to get into January 1st, 2026, without someone signing that contract with Saliba. And I'm glad he has done that. It tells me that he wants to be here. He sees something is happening here, or something can happen here, and he wants to be a part of it. If anybody sees it any differently, that's fine. But kudos to the club. Kudos to Andre Beta as well, because when you look at the contracts he's extended and group it with the transfers they've done this summer, like I said, it tells you that even without Mikel Arteta sitting at the realm tomorrow, there's a lot of good tools for any manager to work on.
Yep.
How was
100%
it for
agree.
you?
I mean, I don't think I have too much to add to that. It was, yeah, exactly all the things you've shared, right? Like, I've grown up an Arsenal fan. We've seen some of our best players leave. And so to be in a position where you're able to tie them down to contracts, and not just contracts, long-term contracts. This wasn't some bridge contract, 2 years plus player option kind of thing. It's a 5-year contract,
Five
signaling
years.
a clear statement of intent by both parties to want to continue this relationship. So it's good. It's good. Gabriel had signed his contract earlier, and now Saliba, and I'm sure Saka is up next in terms of an extension. So it's a refreshing feeling from the days of watching the likes of Van Persie, Nasri, Clichy, all them guys just leave to bigger and what they've considered better situations. So
Yeah.
and now we're also the club that players not want to come, and they also want to stay when they come.
Stay.
So
Yeah.
that's good. All right, let's move on to United and Chelsea. The other game that we're spoken about, there was a lot of pressure, or it felt like there was a lot of pressure going into the game on United and Amorim. We heard the news that, or reports that, Ineos and Ratcliffe were in town to have discussions, and Amorim was actually quite comfortable when asked about it in the press conference. But it always just felt like they needed a result, given the run of results that they've had recently. And they actually got that, right? They got a win at home to Chelsea. It wasn't without any drama. But what did you make of that game, and how much time do you think that result now buys Amorim?
Result definitely buys Amorim some time, but it was a very funny game because um the first crazy thing that happened in the game happened within 4 or 5 minutes. That was the red card of Sanchez. I was actually at the airport when I was watching the game. I remember I just got seated, and the next thing I'm seeing, the ref is pulling on the red card. The first thing I noticed in the game, which I would tie it back to our Arsenal discussion when we said people have the fear of failure, right? The minute Chelsea got that red card, I literally did not believe what I saw. He literally made two changes.
Took out both of the wingers quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both of the wingers. I understand Esteval. Some people might say he's young, he's still getting his feet in the Premier League. I understood that. But taking on Neto to bring in a centre back, I'm like, brother, what are you doing? 5 minutes into the game, you literally still have another 90 minutes to play. Why don't you bring in a goalkeeper, get a feel of the game, see what's happened, and you make those decisions? And then a few minutes later, he takes out Palmer. Apparently, Palmer was injured. But mind you, he said that Palmer was already injured before the game, or he had a knock before the game. So I started asking myself, if he had a knock before the game, why wasn't that your first sub after the red card?
Mm.
Why don't you just take Palmer off, leave Esteval and Neto in the game? Long and behold, what happens just before the halftime? Casemiro gets sent off, and now you're even 10 men. But you've already wasted two subs by bringing in centre backs, right? So the second half, again, I was expecting for Maresca to make subs because now you're even, right? So now try to balance it out, bring in another. He didn't.
What do you mean?
He didn't bring in an attacking sub at halftime. He literally went with the same team. Then towards the end, I think he brought out the young kid George. I think that was what he did. I was expecting to bring in the likes of Garnacho and everything. So that was again another example of a manager panicking right at that moment and having that fear of losing that game, but still ended up losing the game. You can give them a little bit credit that they fought back into it, but I felt it was a little bit too late because if he had just kept his nerves calm in that first half, saw out that game, I think he would have been able to have a better idea on how to manage it. In terms of Manchester United, did I get anything from them in that game? Fortunately, no, because of the one
The
man advantage that
circumstances, yeah.
yeah, but I also have to give them credit as well because when a team goes a man down, most teams put in that mid block to low block, and now it's up to
Right.
you to break them. And Manchester United did do that. So I'll definitely give them credit for that. And again, we definitely have to give out a shout out to Bruno. Apparently, 100 goals. And if you think about it, 100 goals as a midfielder for Manchester United with all what they've been going through,
That is crazy. That is
that is
crazy.
that
Yeah.
that is some ridiculous number. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely have to give him shout out to that. And I'm happy they got the 3 points. I knew it was not going to be an easy game for Chelsea, regardless of the 10 men or not. But in terms of how much time does it buy Amorim, I think it buys him some more time, which is good because it gives him more time to implement what he believes is going to work for the team. And if he's going to be the man for Manchester United, he needs this time, especially if the higher ups actually believe he's the guy to take them forward.
I'm looking at the table right now, like the talk about Manchester United, and we've talked about them a few times here on previous episodes. It felt doom and gloom, right, for a few weeks. But somehow we're looking at the table after 5 games. They're level on points with Manchester City, and they're sitting just 1 point behind Chelsea. Two of those teams, a lot of people have finishing much higher up at the end of the season. So how do we put that in context for the season United is actually having right now?
I think another context people are not adding to that of Manchester United as well is in their first 5 games, they've played Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City.
They've had one of the toughest schedules for sure.
Because I remember
Yeah.
Arsenal and Man U were the guys that had the toughest start to the season.
To start the season,
So
yeah.
I think that context as well has not really been applied to Manchester United, but that is again because of what has happened from last season moving into this season. So in
Right.
their first 5 games to have played these three big teams that all finished even in the top 4 last season, I think that tells you that there's a possibility there might be something there. We
Right.
don't know. It's just up to Ruben and the players to definitely like put it there. But like you said they're on the same point with Man City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you apply all that context, you have to wait. I think you have to wait. Yeah, you have to wait and see. Like I said,
Yeah.
for the fact they've already played those three big teams already in their first 5, I think two of them have been at home, Chelsea and Arsenal, and the Man City was away. So not bad. They've won one and lost 2. But again, these are teams that were way better than them last season, and they've gotten 3 of those games out of the way. So I guess we'll wait and see. Like I said, I didn't really get much from the game because I always feel that Manchester United against the bigger teams, they're going to play much, much better. They keep their shape. and they're looking to destroy on the transition. I actually see them or want to see them how they fare against the other smaller teams who would have a little bit more space, and you want to see how Manchester United make use of their attacking threats.
Turn our attentions to Chelsea on the other side. Chelsea came into the season, a lot of people had them finishing much higher. I mean, and there's obviously plenty of time for them to still kind of course correct. But they had just won the World Club Cup or whatever they're calling it. Such a tongue twister. And also off the back of winning the Conference League. Why is it that there's not much of a discussion? I know you touched on it earlier that, if Arsenal wins, people probably turn their attention to Chelsea. But why do you think that's not happening now for Chelsea today?
I really don't know how they get away with it, especially when the era of everyone talking about, oh, you've spent this much money, you've spent this. Nobody has spent as much as Chelsea, right? Again, when I say the banter comes to bite you on the backside, this is one of them. Because you spend money doesn't guarantee you success. Because you've spent this, like when you look at the Chelsea squad, we already know is a squad that is worth over 2 billion or spent over 2 billion to put their squad together. When you look at the squad, you say £2 billion squad. No, right? But I still don't understand how there seems to be no expectation for Chelsea. And mind you, the pump fake that these guys did to us with that Club World Cup, I am livid that I actually fell for it, because I've always been of the opinion that Chelsea are not a consistent team in the league. I see them more of a cup team. But I saw things in the Club World Cup that Maresca made adjustments, and towards the end of last season, when they got better, they were defensive. They were more defensive, not in terms of like defensive play. They were much better defensively. Let me put it that way. And I was like, okay, I can see this Chelsea doing something, right? All they need to do is, now you've won the Club World Cup, go into the summer, get those players, like I said, the goalkeeper, the experienced centre back, the left winger, and a top striker. And in my opinion, they did absolutely none. In terms of their wingers, remember I came out and I said, in terms of Chelsea's front line outside Palmer, I have no idea who was starting that game.
You were criticized for that, actually.
Was criticized for that. All knowledge was up for grabs at that point. But here we are again. They've played Brentford, they've played Bayern Munich, they've played Manchester United. I was privileged to watch their game against, is it Lincoln? The one they played on Tuesday? Those guys played Chelsea off the park. Bayern Munich played Chelsea off the park. And I'm looking at them like, this is not how you ended last season, right? Yes, it was a tough draw for you to make top four happen on the last day of the season. But beginning of the season, when we talked about they do enough, I think it's coming to bite them now.
Oh, you don't think they've done enough?
No, from the get-go, I didn't think they did enough. I felt they should have gone for that goalkeeper. They didn't. I felt they needed an experienced centre-back. They didn't. Their midfield is quite good. I felt they needed a good left winger. They didn't. I felt they needed a good striker. Everybody's Joao Pedro. He's talented, but I've told you, I don't feel he's consistent enough, right? He's a good, talented player. But then again, this is why I compare Chelsea of today to Chelsea of tomorrow. So when you see the difference, yes, football has changed and everything, but in terms of quality, it makes no sense. But somehow, the Club World Cup just put a blinders on all of us. Okay, look at the guy they brought from Dortmund. I'm beginning to ask myself, I'm not the greatest fan of Noni Madueke. Is he better than Noni? Because literally they were...
So we're talking about Gittins, right?
Yeah, Gittins, yeah. Gittins. Yeah. Is he an upgrade on Noni? Is Garnacho an upgrade on Noni? Everyone has that individual yes or no. But based on what we're seeing, because you sold Noni for about 55, 52 million, you bought Gittins for the same. And it's just like, what is actually going on? And then you look at the owners, the Chelsea owners, I call them crypto investors because what they want to do is invest and flip. And I think even that mindset has trickled down to the Chelsea fans, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
They are more excited about the players that they sell than the players that come into the club to actually represent the club. And I'm there like, what's going on? The Chelsea we all grew up knowing with Roman Abramovich. Remember they used to tell you we don't care about the money.
Yeah.
It's not our money. We just buy the stars.
Well, things have changed.
But things have changed because now they are more caught up about how much money they've sold players for than players are coming in to improve their squad. And again, this window has shown that the money they have spent so far Yes, it's a very small sample size, so I can definitely hold my hands up for that. But in terms of the money you have spent, there is a debate you might still struggle for that top four again.
Yeah, I see it. It's not far fetched that they will struggle. I mean, they're struggling right now. And like you said, it's not a large enough sample size, but this league is also very unforgiving, right? It's like right now you have, what is it, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs are actually doing really well, to be fair to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bournemouth, I don't think would be up there much longer, or at least through the course of the season. You never know. And then you still have
Yeah.
teams that they've not yet come into the picture yet. City, obviously United, people think that given fewer games, they could make a run there. So it's not, I don't think it's guaranteed that there's a top
No.
four finish for Chelsea. But what I'll say is this, I don't understand how they get away with almost no expectations. For me, they should
I
be,
really don't understand it. No one is saying you have to win the league, you have to do
yeah.
this, right? Like, be in the conversation based on the requirements that a lot of this is me going at the Chelsea fans, by the way. A lot of you have set for other clubs those same expectations, but you come out, you accuse the Man Cities of spending money or cheating or something, and you're literally doing the same. Hey, they are becoming the blowers now because you guys used to say all this stuff about Arsenal don't doing this, Arsenal don't doing that. Again, like I said, be in the conversation, right? They are the ones to always tell us it's all about winning. And I agree, it's all about winning. But there's a process that it takes to win. If you keep doing this, you're flipping of players, your turnover rates are going to be high. So how are you able to sustain a consistent team for you to win what you want to win?
So I actually don't even really care about their turnover because I'm the guy that feels like the end justifies the means. So if you can flip all the players that you have on your books and you end up winning major titles, then sure, go for it. My issue with Chelsea is when you look at teams, right? We'll start with Liverpool. Liverpool, they're the defending champions. They've spent the most money now that we've seen any team spend in history. And deservedly so, they're favorites again to compete. So that comes with its own expectations. Everybody expects them to win. Arsenal, the same thing. We've come second 3 times in a row. No team has done that 4 times previously. We've now also gone and spent a fair bit of money. And so that comes with the expectations to win.
Yeah.
Chelsea, I keep hearing that we've won. You tell me when it was time to banter that, okay, well, you just won the Conference League and you claim the whatever that thing is called. You claim that as a title. Fair. You beat the best team in the world in PSG to get to that title. You've also spent billions of dollars. So
What
how do those things not add up to expectations of competing for more major titles? How do you end up in a situation where you win the World Cup thing against PSG, right? And then it's time to get to the league and you tell me, oh, top four is the goal. I don't understand that. I think by all the standards that have been set, I think Chelsea should feel the weight of expectation of also competing for trophies.
Yeah, but you also have to evaluate the trophy that they won last season. They won
No,
the
I
what?
get it, but in
Yeah.
conversation,
So,
they would say that those are like, serious trophies or whatever the case might be. So if they are serious trophies or if they are major titles like you're claiming that they are, then it should also come with the expectations of, well, that means you're a really good team who is capable of winning those 2 titles. And with that in mind, given the amount of money you've spent as well, then you should also be, contenders for more major titles. It's kind of how I see it. But then you hear the fans talk, you hear the rhetoric from the team. It's more like, we're just happy to be here kind of thing. Just want to make top
yeah,
four.
yeah, yeah.
I don't
They
get
just
it.
want to.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like I always say, like for you to be consistently, for you to win consistently, you need to be a consistent team at the top end of it, right? You want to win those major trophies, which is the Champions League, the Premier Leagues. You have to be consistently good, right? If you're going to be picking up the conference leagues here and there and the Carling Cups, yes, it's fine. It's trophies, right? But again, what's the difference between a big club and a smaller club? The big club consistently fights for the major trophies. Like, I don't know how many times I'm going to say it. People are going to come at me and say, oh, I'm looking down on other trophies. I'm not looking down on other trophies. These are the standards that have been set by big clubs. I can ask anybody, like when you go to Italy and Spain, you're talking about the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs, they're talking about how many league titles they've won, how many Champions Leagues that they've won. Even when you come to England, it's the same thing. So now you're trying to change the narrative because you found yourself on the other side of the table and you're picking these, like, for example, let's use that Conference League. Really? Like the Conference League, are we being serious? West Ham won the Conference League. Why are we not calling them big teams? No disrespect to them, but why weren't you giving them the same stuff that you're going to give to Chelsea? Yes, it's a trophy, it's a good day out, but there's a reason why a lot of these clubs want to be consistently at the top. They want to be better than where they are because those major trophies are what tell you who and what you are. It's simple. If you've spent all this money and you feel top four is all you still want to do, then that's fine. Because I remember when Arsene Wenger was coming out for top fours, don't forget what the Chelsea fans used to say at that time. Top four is a trophy. Remember when I just said you're becoming the blue Arsenal? So yeah, that's how I see it now.
Yeah, I don't think I have much to really touch on with the Chelsea. I think we've touched on all of that. Let's see, what else did we miss? Did you see the Ekitike red card situation? What did you make of?
It's funny because I was at work. I was watching the game on the side of my of my laptop, right? 1-1. I'm like, Liverpool are still going to win this game, right? It's Anfield, it's Southampton.
Yeah,
Then he scored, right? And he's taking his shirt off. And this is me not even knowing that he had a yellow card. Like, literally, I had no idea. And in my head, I'm like, what are you taking your shirt off
what's the
for a
occasion?
tapping? Yeah, like, what's the occasion? Not only did he take his shirt off for a tapping, this guy did the Messi celebration. I put the shirt like this. And then the next thing I see Frimpong comes up to him
Like,
and he's like,
bro, what are you
he's
doing?
and then the next thing I see the ref brings out the cello. When I see that, I'm like, what? You even had a yellow card, which now makes it worse. Like, I have nothing against celebrations, but bro, it was a tapping. Like, you're taking off your shirt for a tapping. And it's funny because if you see what the manager said, like, Slot, it was like, it's not like you beat three players and put it in the top corner.
Yeah,
That was the kind of thing he would go back to
Chiesa.
Chiesa and go like, give him his credit and stuff. So I think he just got caught up in emotions. And this is why sometimes I try to say when you see the celebration police come out, I want to tell people how to control or how to celebrate. It tells you that football is an emotional game, right? He was literally in the moment. You can tell. It was crazy to me.
Yeah, but
The only reason it was crazy to me was because it was a tapping.
but that's
I
the
can't
thing.
imagine
That's what. So
shit for
it's
a tapping.
the what, third round of the Carabao Cup. It wasn't
Yes,
like, I
should
think
be over.
I didn't even watch the game. To be fair, I didn't really watch the game. I just saw like the
Yeah, I saw
reaction
the
and it.
last.
I was like, okay, I
Yeah,
need to go check this out. And I saw it, I was like, wait, Liverpool were always going to beat these guys. Like, I don't
to
think
beat like
anybody was really thinking Southampton was going to, knock Liverpool out at that round
yeah.
of the Carabao, right? So it's like, what was the jeopardy? Like, what is it that made you want to,
Yeah,
carry your jersey
off
and
his
like,
did the Messi
I couldn't
celebration.
really understand it, man.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
but
just
yeah,
run and go celebrate with the fans. Like, that's fine.
yeah,
But, bro, that was a tap-in. Only for me
yeah.
to see it was a red card. I was just like, oh my God, even worse. That guy might not come back to a job again.
Yo, I think he just lost his job. Especially Isak scored that game, right?
Isak scored that game.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
Isak is going to be forced to play that
To
game.
play more minutes, yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't know who they play
Crystal
next.
Palace, Crystal Palace.
No, I mean in Champions League, because Champions League is the following week. I don't know why I think it's Galatasaray. I think it is. I'm not too sure.
So there's 2 games before we get back here, is what you're saying.
Yes. Champions League, Premier League games.
Let me pull. Yeah, it's Galatasaray away,
Galatasaray, yeah. Away. Whew.
away.
Bro, that stadium ain't it, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game. But yeah, we'll look ahead just as we wrap up here. A quick chat about some of the big games coming up. Brentford against United. I have no takes on Brentford after our last time out because I was saying I was saying they've lost their manager, they've lost their 2 best players, and they still created
United
problems.
need to win this game, though.
Well, if they win, it will be the first time that they've had
That's
back-to-back
why they need to.
wins.
That's why
on
they
the,
need to win this game.
you know,
Because you can't keep doing this.
yeah,
You literally can't. Because that's the only thing I'll have and say, yeah, United will win. Literally because they've not won back-to-back games together.
yeah,
But game is early kickoff at
4:30,
Brentford's
yeah,
house.
yeah.
Bado.
Okay, so what do you think happens in that game?
I think Brentford gets something. I think Brentford will get something from that
I'm
game.
I'm I'm definitely sitting this one out because I was so
Yeah,
wrong on the last Brentford goal.
I actually want United to win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want them to win this game, but I would not be. I think Brentford will get something. Yeah,
Next game is Chelsea Brighton. Chelsea is at home. I think that could be a tricky game for Chelsea.
yeah. But the problem with Brighton is Brighton they know how to score, but they always concede goals.
Yeah, but I think Chelsea are in must-win mode right now. I think
Yes, they're
to
in
kind of
must-win mode.
keep
I don't
pace.
think Palmer will be available, so I think I'll go with Chelsea win for that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I won't be surprised with a draw, but we'll see.
yeah. Just because it's at Stamford Bridge. If it was at Brighton's home, I'll say yeah, Chelsea are not living there with anything.
Crystal Palace at home to Liverpool, the
Or
last two
Liverpool, right?
unbeaten teams in the league.
Do you know how many
It,
games Crystal Palace have gone
what
unbeaten
is
so
it, like
far?
17 or something like that?
17.
That is
That is
crazy.
ridiculous.
That is, and
Crystal
in that
Palace.
time they've played Manchester City.
Every big team.
Everybody like, nah, that's remarkable.
Yeah, they've played all the big teams in that time.
Yeah,
So I think this will be a draw. Actually,
you think so?
I think so. Crystal Palace are a very well structured team. Glasner is a very good manager.
Yeah, well, Liverpool is good, man.
Liverpool are
They
very
have
good.
a lot of weapons.
Yeah,
They have quite a, yeah. I mean, yeah, I like a draw, but I
Palace.
won't be
I
surprised.
think Palace. Actually, I think isn't Sa or the new signing Pino injured?
I don't even
Actually,
know
it depends
how
on
they've remained unbeaten, right? Because they lost
oh,
obviously
they're
Eze.
very well structured team.
Yeah,
Again, this shows you another good manager that just knows how to set up his team.
right.
Yeah,
Um, City Burnley. I think the less said about that, the better. But if you have a take,
snap it.
I think it's pretty straightforward. The Sunday game we have Newcastle versus Arsenal. Newcastle's
No,
at
that's on
home.
Sunday, Saturday.
Is on Sunday. And that has been
Hmm.
a tricky place for Arsenal to go over the last few years,
Yeah,
St.
yeah.
James Park. So, what do you make of
And
that?
it's gonna be a tough game as usual. St. James Park, regardless of St. James Park has just always been a tough place. I remember one of the craziest games I remember the 4-4. I remember the one where I think it was the last game of the season. We're trying to qualify for Champions League.
Oh,
Koscielny scored the last minute. Like it's always been a crazy place, but Newcastle haven't been at their best. So man, I really wish Mikel can just pick an attacking team
I can
in
tell you
terms of
that's not whatever you're considering an attacking
but that's
team.
the thing exactly because when you look at that game, I don't know if Odegaard is back. I think he's back, but I think he might be going off the bench. And if he's going off the bench, I will tell everybody for free, especially against Newcastle, Merino is starting that game.
Yes, yes,
Merino is
yes,
starting that game because of their
exactly.
own physicality in terms of their midfield. Waneri is not starting that game.
Oh no,
So
I don't expect.
people
Yeah,
don't know now. Set your mind up that Merino most likely is starting that game, except Odegaard is really fit and he goes with Odegaard.
yep.
So yeah.
Um.
So in terms of prediction, yeah, I'll go 2-0
Oh, for
Arsenal.
that's bold.
I'll go 2-0.
You know we have prediction police now.
Oh, that's true. But this prediction policy,
We have
but when you
prediction
switch up the
police.
case back to him, he has no. I say, but when you switch the case back to him, he has no evidence. But yeah, I think we'll get. I think it will be tough win. I don't even know if to go 1-0 or 2-0, but I'll go 2-0. Or should I go 1-0?
I have to go turn on the prediction thing for Banta anyway, but I
Yeah.
still have a few
Okay, I'll
little
just
bits to
take the
think.
2-0
Yeah,
then.
I'll
But I
think
want to
about
check
it.
that 1-0. I think yeah. I'll go with that for now.
I don't think Newcastle are going to get into a low block at home. I think the crowd will have them fired up. It sounds like a Bruno Guimaraes kind of game where they're really fired up. So I think they'll show some intent. They'll try to play to their strengths a little bit more, which I think could open up the game.
And they are very physical.
They are. They are. You know, they're ready for a fight, right? So that's why I don't think I could go out on a limb and go for anything more than a very tight game. I'm still thinking about. It's going to be tight, but I want to smash their teeth at home. I want a very painful loss for them.
This is one of those games I would tell you I don't care about the performance. I just want 3 points.
Absolutely.
I don't care about the performance. I just want 3 points. This is one of those games. Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap up there. But just before we get off here, I was just looking ahead to the Champions League to see if there's any games that jump out.
Oh, yes.
We don't need to get through the rest of the games, but I think the standout fixture from this week is Barcelona and PSG.
Is that this week?
Yeah, Yeah.
Really?
Was it? Yeah, October 1st.
There's actually another standout game for me.
Which one is that?
It's on Tuesday. Chelsea Benfica.
Really?
Jose Mourinho returns to Stamford Bridge.
Oh, Benfica is. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. That's going to be a good one.
Oh, yes. that could be a problem for Chelsea.
It's going to be a problem for Chelsea.
Yeah.
Because, Mourinho...
Main character in HG.
All about the defense.
Main character, man. Like, Mourinho is coming there like, I built this place.
Yeah. So Tuesday, that would be the game I'll definitely be watching. Do we play Tuesday? We play Wednesday. Olympiacos.
I don't know the second thing about Olympiacos, to be honest with you. So,
and it's at the Emirates, so thank God.
I'm feeling more confident about games in the Emirates these days, right? So, it is what it is.
But don't forget, Emirates, especially in the league, we've dropped some silly points at the Emirates. Especially
I know, but it's tough to lose there. I'm talking about losing the game, right?
It's tough to lose there,
yeah.
Wow, I didn't know Barcelona PSG was.
That's a solid game. Enrique also going back to Barca, so.
To Barca, yeah. Lamine Yamal, Benembele.
Oh, the stories write themselves. That's gonna be a good one. The final that everybody wanted, but they didn't get. That was the final everybody wanted.
That's the final everybody wanted. Yeah, that's true.
So we'll see. We'll see how they match up. Well, let's draw the line there this week. We'll be back same time next week to catch up on all these games we've talked about and also the next set of games, man. Have a good week, good weekend, my guy, and we'll chat on Sunday.
You have a great weekend as well. Definitely, we'll definitely be chatting.
Yeah.
To see all the fallouts.
Yeah.
Fans are funny, man.
It is what it is.
We also support our clubs in different ways, so
it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, man. Cheers.